Fifth grade Excel, lesson 113, converting mixed numbers to decimal numbers by setting up equivalent fractions. It's easy to convert a mixed number to a decimal number if the denominator of the fraction portion is in tenths or hundredths. So for example, you've been doing these already. 2 and 4 tenths is equal to 2 and 4 tenths because you already have a 10 as your denominator. 2 and 17 hundredths, 2 and 17 hundredths. Changing this mixed number into a decimal is a piece of cake. 2 and 7 hundredths, 2 and 7 hundredths. This means 7 out of 100 because it's in the hundredths place. If the denominator is not tenths or hundredths, or we might say thousandths or 10,000ths, one way to convert a mixed number to a decimal number is just try to set up equivalent fractions. What about 2 1/2? How would I change that to a decimal? Is it possible to set up equivalent fractions with halves and tenths? So I put the 1/2 here, and then I put tenths, because if I can make it be tenths, I can make it look like this, point, decimal point something. And I can change 2 into 10, because 2 times 5 is 10. So since I'm multiplying the denominator times 5, I multiply the numerator times 5 as well. 1 times 5 is 5. So 2 1/2 is equal to 2 and 5 tenths, because this is 2 1/2 is the same thing as that. And 5 tenths is equal to 0.5. Oh, okay, here we go. Here's another one, 3 and 1/4. Is it possible to set up equivalent fractions with fourths to tenths? If you put a 10 over here, 4 times something is 10. That doesn't quite work too well now, does it? What about if you try to set it up as hundredths? 4 times something is 100? Yeah, you can do that. 4 times 25. 1 times 25 is 25, and so you have 25 hundredths. So 3 and 1/4 is the same thing as 3 and 25 hundredths. We just found that out because 1/4 is the same thing as 25 hundredths, and the way you write that as a decimal is 3.25. So the way you do these type here is try to change it into tenths first. If that doesn't work, stick another 0 on there and try to change your denominator into hundredths. Then you can make it into a decimal. All right, let's do a couple of these here together. We'll do the first one together, and you write on your paper as I'm doing this. 1/5. Let's change this. Can we change it into tenths? Yes, we can. 5 times 2 is 10, so 1 times 2 is 2. So 6 and 1/5 is the same thing as 6.2 because 0.2 is 2 tenths. All right, you try numbers 4 and 5, pause the video, turn it back on when you're ready for the solution. Okay, remember what we're going to do first is write down here and try to change this into tenths. 50 goes into 10. You can divide 50 by 5 to change it into 10, but are you going to divide 3 by 5? No, that's not going to work too well. So we're going to make that 100, that 10 into 100, and we do 50 times 2 is 100, so 3 times 2 is 6. So 3/50ths is the same thing as 6 hundredths. And so we're going to write our decimal as 3 and 6 hundredths. If you wrote 3.6, then you got that wrong. That's 3 and 6 tenths, not 6 hundredths. All right, pause the video if you haven't done that already, and do number 5, and then turn it back on when you're ready for the solution. So 3/4. Okay, can I change that into tenths? Fourths into tenths? No, it's not going to work. So then I add another 0 to make it hundredths. Yeah, I can do 4 times 25 is 100. So 3 times 25 is 75. And think about that, 3/4, 3/4. Fourths and quarters are the same thing. 3/4 is 75 hundredths because it's 75 out of 100 pennies. And so we have 1.75 for our answer. All right, and here are a couple more problems to try. Pause the video, do 6, 7, and 8, and then turn it back on when you're ready to see the solution. So you should be doing 3/25 here. We obviously can't change that into 10, but we are going to change it into 100. 25 times 4 is 100. 3 times 4 is 12. So this is the same thing as 3 and 12 hundredths. 12/20ths. We can't change that. Well, we could change it into 10. 20 divided by, oh, we can. Look at that. 20 divided by 2 is 10. We can divide the 12 by 10. 12 by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6, so this is 3 and 6/10. You put 3 and 60/100ths, you also got it right. 4/5, change that into tenths. Yep, sure can. 5 times 2 is 10, so 4 times 2 is 8. 4/5 is equal to 8/10, so this is 3.8 as the answer. All right, thank you for watching.